Welcome to Fearless and Unfiltered. Real talk, real challenges, and real wisdom from two badass BFFs that aren't afraid to say it like it is.
We're here to share stories that inspire, lessons that empower, and a whole lot of laughs along the way.
Get ready to get fearless
Get unfiltered.
and get real with Carrie and Vicky.
What's up, beautiful people? Welcome back to Fearless and Unfiltered with Carrie and Vicky. Today, we are talking about leadership.
Leadership.
And the leadership leak, why most businesses never reach their full potential. And I'll tell you exactly why, because I lived this for over a decade and I saw so many bad leaders.
Well, it's funny. I think everyone can relate to this because you've either had a great boss or you've had a crappy boss.
Right.
And it really shows the impact of what it does to a company.
Yeah.
Either way.
Yeah. So, I mean, listen, if you work in an organization or if you run an organization, I'm sure that you can relate to the message that we're going to talk today. And so I want to tell you something. Leadership is all about the culture. It's about your people. And if you are not putting your people first, if you are not communicating where you're going as an organization, the vision, I love to talk about vision, vision, communication, proper communication of that vision, and allowing the employees to understand how they fit into that vision. So many leaders will just, kind of just give out orders and say, you got to do this and you got to do that. And nobody really knows why. Why am I doing this? Like, I remember when I started in my career right out of college, I got hired into a very large manufacturing organization. We had over 300 employees, 24/7 operation near Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, manufacturing facility. And I started off as a customer service representative and I was green. Okay. I was young and I was hungry. I had a 6-month-old baby at home. I was a single mom. So listen, I'm going to work for 10 hours a day. I'm going to add value in some way. So
Right.
I would ask a ton of questions. And I remember asking, why do we do it this way? And people would look at me and be like, I don't know, just because.
Just do it.
Just do it. And I'm like, but it doesn't make sense. Like, isn't there a better way? I don't know. Well, how long have you been here? Like, why aren't you trying to improve?
Right.
And so I think the hungry young people actually sometimes shake the boat. And I think I shook the boat a lot in my organization. But I learned a lot. And so from going from when I was 25 until I was 35 over the course of 10 years, how much I learned about leadership.
Right.
And I will tell you the most fundamental truth is it's all about your culture. It's all about your people and your ability to communicate the vision of the organization to those people, how they fit into that, and empower them to ask questions. Ask, why are we doing this?
Right.
I would rather have you come to me and say, why are we doing this? Is there a better way, than somebody telling me why we can't do
it
something.
that way. Right. Someone once told me that it's your, in leadership, it's either it's your people, it's your process, or it's your product if you're failing at something. And you have to look at those three things at all times. So people is obviously the first one because that is your nuts and bolts of a company.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't have the people to run the company, you would be the one stuck doing it all. And that doesn't make a good leader.
We used to have guys on the line. You know what they would do? It was called dicking the dog. They would dick the dog. All right. And so this was a changeover. So in manufacturing, if day shift was about to get the changeover, they would dick the dog. They'd slow down the machine. They'd stop it and pretend like something was broken so that they didn't have to do the changeover.
Oh.
So one of the things in leadership is you really need to empower your people.
Right.
Otherwise, they're going to be dicking the dog too. Like, why should I work harder if you don't acknowledge me? I'm not getting paid as much. I'm not doing this or that. And especially in our culture nowadays,
Right.
people think they're entitled to so many things. It's like, just because I'm here, I'm getting a paycheck doesn't mean I need to put more forward.
Right.
But the most successful organizations understand that the people on the line, people doing the nuts and bolts, the people making the sandwiches, the people that are doing the work are the most important people. And so I say that a good leader takes on that chief people officer mentality.
Sure.
Versus the traditional top-down command. And my boss, way back in the day when I was in my 20s, when I first got into management, I'd go out and tell people, you need to do this and you need to do that. And I'd go bitch to him and I'd be like, they're not doing it. And he's like, Carrie, an iron fist and a velvet glove. And I was like, what do you mean? Like, that's so stupid. Like, let's get this shit done. And he's like, iron fist and a velvet glove. And it took me a couple years to finally figure that out.
Right.
That, you know, if you want somebody to do something, you want to also, here's the thing, listen to them.
Yes.
You know,
Feedback.
what is going on? What are some of your problems? How can I help you? How's your day going? Oh, by the way, how's your family?
Mm-hmm. Actually show that you care in some way, sense, form, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think one of the things, Carrie used to be my boss at a stage in the game. And I actually have to say, I learned so much from you in that short 3 years. And it really is that you empowered us. She always used to say, knowledge is power. Share the knowledge, share the knowledge. And I think that's where some leaders, they don't share that knowledge. So they may know it all. But if you don't share it with anyone, you're going to be the one stuck doing the job over and over again, or having unsatisfied employees or customers, or it's not going to work out for you because you hired this person. So you obviously liked him enough to hire him to do the job for you. But then if you don't give them the information to do the damn job, they're not going to be satisfied. And you're probably going to have to be hiring somebody else in their place sooner or later.
Yeah, and you'll find this with some old timers, right? So when I came into the company that I hired Vicky at, I was a vice president of operations. And when I came in, they had like the customer service manager up front, and all of the purchase orders would go to the customer service manager. She would print them out and physically walk them back to 2 of the CSRs in the back and say, here, process this. Well, each of them would get a different purchase order. So they weren't able to learn the customer. They weren't able to learn the customer's needs and the processes that are specific to that particular customer account. So there were mistakes all the time. And it was like, why aren't you just like, give them a particular customer, let them get the orders, let them do it? Why wasn't she sharing that information? Because she felt threatened. If they're going to do it, then what am I going to do?
Right.
And so she would hoard all this information, all this knowledge. And then when she was out sick, nobody knows what to do. Like, come on.
Free day.
Like, that is just the wrong way to go. So when I came in, I'm like, oh no, we're going to change the processes here and streamline it. I'm going to give the CSRs the power and the, what do you call it? I don't know, the help them with the process so that they could learn each customer account, really give them as much as they needed. And wow, what a change that was.
It really was.
But also teaching, like share the knowledge. Like Vicky said, write standard operating procedures for your people so they understand, but involve them in the process. Like they need to be involved.
That's what I was going to say. If I think that's one of the key points that you did is you actually listened to the employees, and then you actually asked us what the job was about, or asked us what the problems were, or asked us where the bottlenecks were. And by the feedback that you got, you were able to give us a better process to make everybody's job easier and happier, and ultimately the customer feeling much better, which did nothing but improve their sales. So that was awesome.
Yeah, continuous improvement. Like I'm a continuous improvement guru. Like what can we do? Work smarter, not harder. And there's a 2-second improvement to every task you do.
Sure.
You know, streamlining your operations, empowering your employees. But that is the thing. You got to listen to your people. You know, I was a plant manager for this large organization. I went out on the floor. I listened to people. What are your problems? I would get the engineering team on the line. Like, here, deal with this operator. He has a problem. Where like, he's like, I called, nobody came. So you're just sitting with a line down that's like wasting $1,000 an hour.
Right.
And I forget what it was back then.
And based on the company, it could be $10,000 an hour.
Right.
$1 million an hour.
And little small improvements every single day will lead that bottom line to being more profitable.
Here's another one where I think leaders fail is when you're dealing with the bump and grind or the everyday things going on in your company. And granted, you said you need to go on the floor, but at some point in time, you have to take that level and go look at the 50,000 foot view again, because you're the one that knows that vision. You're the one that knows where you want to get to. And sometimes when you get so caught up in the bump and grind of everything, you lose the vision of the 50,000 foot view. And you're the one at the helm.
Yep.
So you're the one that needs to keep that at a focus. And then how do you do that and communicate it out?
Right. Great leaders do a strategic plan every single year. So every time I was in a leadership position, we would start by doing strategic planning. What are our big goals? How are we going to get those done? We're going to map it out. We're going to once we have our strategic goals and our vision, we're going to communicate that with everybody in the company and no one gets left out.
Right.
Because, how are you going to row your ship, float your ship?
Row. I'm like,
If everybody's not rowing with you, right? You
Yeah.
can't just bark orders at people and expect them to do it. They need to understand, where are we going? But here's the thing. Why? Why is this important? Communicating the why behind everything is so important to get the buy-in from people. Because I'll tell you something, culture eats strategy for breakfast.
Ooh, culture eats strategy for breakfast.
It's vision, it's communication, and then it's accountability. So when I do strategic planning for organizations, do you want to know what the biggest weakness of every organization that I found? The two biggest weaknesses of every organization. Guys, put it in the comments. Let's see what you come up with. What are they? What do you think they are?
The two biggest weaknesses
Of every organization.
accountability, because if you have somebody that's not doing their job, it's just doing nothing but pissing off the other employees, and they're like, why are they getting away with it? I can do it too. So I'm gonna say that's one of them.
You got it.
Okay, bam. And then my second one is communication. Is because if you're not communicating the good and the bad, then people are just they're like robots. They're like zombies. They're just coming in, they're getting their paycheck, they're doing their 9 to 5, and that's it.
Yep. And you can't automate morale.
You cannot automate morale, even though automation is a good thing. But no, it's very true. I mean, again, it's like if you are a leader that's barking the orders and you're not in the servant leadership mentality, then you're just saying you need to do it this way, and get this many done.
Yep. And so you were right, Vicki. Those are the actual two.
Yay, good job,
two
Vicki.
biggest weaknesses of every organization is communication and accountability. So, think about this. Does your team know where the ship is going, or are they just rowing? Ask yourself that. If you're a team leader, does your team know where the ship is going, or are they just rowing?
Here's one of the frustrating things that we've recently experienced is they ask for the feedback, or let's say they take a survey, an annual survey of how the employees actually feel in different categories of the job. And then nothing gets done about it.
Yeah.
So you give the feedback, but then you don't take the actions or make the needed changes to help with that certain weakness, basically, in your company.
Yeah.
SWOT. So if you guys don't know this, strength, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. It's part of the strategic plan, but really you can use it in your own life. But it is really key for a company to do that. And one of the things I was going to say is when I did work for you, you actually had a strategy session, not just with the leadership, because you can start there and do one.
Yep.
But when you do a strategy session with the entire company or with an entire department, they feel heard. They feel like they have input to make that company better. And man, does that really change the attitude of people.
Absolutely. This organization I worked for, I went from customer service all the way to the top general manager over the course of 10 years. And when I took on that general manager position, I did a strategic planning session with the management team. And then this was a unionized organization, okay? So we had 300 union employees.
Right.
We took the management team and the union leaders to an off-site location, and we did that same strategic planning session, but with the union leaders, because if you have ever worked for a union before, it's usually union and management are just going against the wall.
Right.
Or if you're in like fulfillment or manufacturing, I used to say I could take a wrecking ball through this wall and just break down the wall between the management and the floor. Right? Because I would go out on the floor and I'd spend time out there, but most leaders would not go out on the floor. And you'll find the good leaders and the bad leaders, the ones that just sit in their office and, look at houses in Florida. People actually did that before. But I tell that story because when we did that planning session and we came back, we broke company records In a 35-year company history, within 6 months, we broke records they had never had before. We had a 25% overall productivity improvement. This is a $100 million organization. Like, these are big numbers. And in just 6 months, and I will tell you, it's because the employees felt heard.
Yep.
They were involved in process optimization. They were involved in customer feedback.
Yes.
Quality control. I used to have a little, so we made aluminum aerosol cans, and so I'd take the baby. It was a Johnson & Johnson can, and it was like the customer was very finicky and everything. So I would also do monthly meetings with all 4 crews. So it was 24/7 operation. So we had 4 crews. So we would do a monthly meeting where we would give them an update on our sales numbers, our on-time delivery, our quality stats, and all of that stuff. And so I would carry this and I'd say, this is our baby. You can't drop the baby on the head. You can't mess up the baby. Like, if you pack the baby and it has a defect, it's not going to be good. So everybody in the company knew about this baby, right? Because you have to share that information. You have to share what's important to the customer so that the people who are actually packaging the baby know how important it is.
But that goes back to involving that employee, because it is going to make your business shine. It truly is. I mentioned the word servant leadership, but that's truly what it's about. So the leader is, granted, yes, they are in that position, but their goal is to empower their employees to do the right thing for the customer, for the end user, or for the corporation.
Yeah.
And once you have a team of people doing that for you, so the employees actually have less fear about letting you know if there's something wrong, or giving you an idea, or something that's going to benefit your company. And think about the people that are management, and they just, okay, this, you need to do it this way, this is why, but they never allow feedback from their employees. And that's really, you're missing the boat there, ladies and gentlemen, especially with the gap now. So you've got kids that are 16 years old that are starting their new job, or 20 years old coming out of school starting their new job. And then you still have people that are probably in their 70s still working.
Yeah.
And the way that work was done in this time is completely different than what it is done now. And these guys have fresh ideas. So instead of you paying a lot of money to get this from, let's say, a research company or whatever, you actually have the talent right inside your building.
Right.
And if you do not ask for the feedback, or you do not let your employees participate in that, you are way missing out.
They'll shut down. And I mean, think about it. If you have a boss who you feel like you can't talk to, who doesn't listen to you, are you going to go to them with an idea? Probably not. You're going to avoid them. I used to have a line of people out my office. Like, literally, I'd be like, next. And before they would leave, guess what? They would hit my easy button.
Nice.
And I'd be like, hell yeah. Next.
That was easy.
What can I do for you today? How can I serve you? How can I serve you? So if you are leading a team, or if you're a business owner, I want you to write this on a sticky note and put it on your desk. How can I serve you today?
Yes. How can I make your day better?
And your job easier.
Yes, because that's what it's about. If someone is going to do a job and their leadership is engaged to making your job either safer, or more fun, or more productive, you're going to be happy to get up and get your butt into that job because you feel like you're making a difference.
Yeah.
Instead of just clocking in and clocking out.
And hoarding all the information to yourself so you feel special. But, people can see right through that. So don't think that you're tricking anybody there.
No, it does say, though, so servant leadership, there are benefits to it. So listen to this. Empowered employees are more engaged. It increases your job satisfaction, and it increases your retention. And you want great people to stay a part of your organization, because I'm telling you, it costs you a lot of money to get another person to fill that bucket. It's just, I think it's a sad thing to see whenever you are in the worker stage and you see good people leave.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. And they will too. If they don't feel valued, if they don't feel heard, they're on their way out.
Yeah, I think someone once said that, good people do not leave a company. Good people leave a bad manager.
Ooh.
And it's true.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm
so blessed. I had a great boss. And He told me, Carrie, I'll give you a rope that you can hang yourself with. Like, he would give me as much room to go implement new strategies, to go do what I needed to do. He's like, I'll give you enough rope to hang yourself with. But I didn't. You know what I did? I took that rope and I built more boats.
I made my rope longer.
And we were sailing the ocean sea.
I like this. So, just to wrap up some of the things that I want. So, I read this article by Forbes, is where I got this information. It's the most common reasons leaders fail and how to avoid it. And I think Tony Gamble was the guy that wrote this article. But you can take this information. So, the practice of reflection. So, once you get that information, once you've done the exercises of talking to your employees or going out on the floor, or whatever it is, take the time to reflect. See where we were, see where you want to go, see how we got there. And that is, if you keep that cycle going, it's great practice on whether, like you said, you did it yearly, whether you do it monthly, whether you do it whatever. Reflection is huge because it allows you to see where you came from, and then it helps you kind of get where you're going to.
Yeah, you should definitely do a quarterly, recap with
Right.
your sales team, with your manufacturing team, whatever team you have, but a quarterly update to show here's where we are in relation to our goals that we set for the year.
Right.
Are we meeting our goals? Have we surpassed our goals? What do we need to do? And again, communicate that information.
And communicate out to the employees as well, not just your management team.
Oh, that's the most important.
This is my favorite thing I think I've ever heard from Carrie, which is the quality of the questions you ask determines the quality of your results. So ask quality questions. And that goes both sides, whether you're the employee or the leader, but we're talking leadership here. So leaders, ask quality questions to the people. It will get you the results that you're looking for.
Yeah, and your people know. Like, the people that are doing the job know what's going on. They
Right.
know if something's broken. They know if something's not working. They know if they know. So
Right.
just ask them. Oh, I do want to share this because this was a great story. When I was a general manager, so we would do a blitz day.
Ooh,
Okay,
okay.
so we did
I like
preventative
blitzes.
maintenance. Like the other general managers before, they wouldn't take the machines down because we were late. We were like 20 weeks late. On time delivery wasn't very good, and it's like we can't stop the machines. So you keep driving your car and don't get an oil change, and let's talk about how far you're going to get. Okay. So it's the same thing with machines. You have to maintain them. You got to put lubrication on them, all of these things. So I supported taking a machine down for a day and doing the preventative maintenance and the cleaning. And I would even ask people to sign up, and they could come work overtime if they wanted. And we got people involved in this.
Yes.
Other machine operators would come help clean the other machine, and it brought so much. Again, it's that culture. But me being the general manager, most general managers would be up front, again, in their office on their computer. I got suited up and booted up, went out on the line that's like over 100 degrees, like very hot. You're sweating. This is an aluminum manufacturing facility. You can blow your nose and gray aluminum dust will come out of your nose. No joke.
I love the details.
And I walked up on top of the inside liner oven with my other maintenance teams that were up there greasing the bearings. And I'm like, hey, I'm here to help. And they're like, what? And so this kid I actually went to high school with was one of the machine operators. And he goes, I cannot believe I see you up here right now. And I was like, why? He's like, because you're like the general manager. I'm like, I am on the same playing field as you,
Right.
Justin. Like, we are equals. I'm no better than you just because of my title or my paycheck.
Right.
And I'm here to support you. Now tell me how you would feel as an employee if somebody did that.
I would trust you in a heartbeat. Now you know what we go through on the floor, and just the relationship, and I guess I'm trying to figure out what word I'm trying to look for, but that person now has the faith in you that you're leading him in the right direction. And if Carrie tells me to do this, I'm going to do it for a reason because she knows exactly what we got to do it.
Yeah.
You know?
And guess what? It's easy. It's not hard. It's really not.
Engagement.
Engagement.
It really is. So another one, basically, give yourself grace when setbacks do happen. But again, remember to practice, the leadership practices so that you can adapt to change. And if you are continually adapting and learning and evolving your processes or people, then you are going to have future success over and over and over again.
It's like Kappa. There's corrective and preventative action. So you can do a corrective action which means like in quality control, we would write corrective action reports, right?
Right.
So we get a defect, we're going to go research and figure out what caused the
Right.
defect. We're going to get back to the customer with a corrective action. But I took it a step further because good companies will take it to the preventative action. We corrected it, but here's how we're going to prevent it from ever happening again.
Right.
And a lot of organizations and leaders won't take that extra step. But why not? Because it's going to save you time, it's going to save you money, defects, it's going to save you customer relationships.
Right.
Corrective and preventative.
Just one more thing I just want to throw out there is how leaders communicate. So if you have a calm demeanor, and when you're listening to somebody and you literally are wanting to improve that person, you win more. What is it? You get more honey you get more bees with honey than you do salt. And it's kind of like, instead of you being the person that barks and barks,
The iron fist and the velvet glove.
the iron fist and the velvet glove, it's the same thing. So yeah, I think it's good leaders really have a way of being calm during the reaction. So even if something bad you're getting the feedback on, you're not going to turn around and be like, "Wow, why are you saying that?" type thing.
Right.
You're calm about it. You're ingesting that information, and then I think it makes the employee feel much more calmer to come to you and more eager to come to you with things to make good changes.
And I've seen this a lot over the years. Somebody will get promoted to a manager because they've done such a great job in their department, but they are not really management material, meaning they haven't been trained in how to be professional, how to communicate effectively, how to show that empathy to other people. And so you'll have a lot of people in a management position, but they're not really good leaders because they haven't learned how to. So I think it's very important for organizations to invest in their
Yep.
management team and make sure that they're learning the skills
To lead.
to lead. Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. Continuous leadership training,
And conscious leadership.
conscious leadership. I like it.
It's not a top-down approach. So we can go like this. You could say, oh, it's a top-down or top-down or bottom-up. Bottom.
That's servant leadership.
Yeah,
right there.
servant leadership is you flip it. It's actually the employees who are coming up with the ideas and you empower them to make decisions on their own. They shouldn't have to wait, shut down a machine or wait until tomorrow until my boss is back to get the answer. You should empower them to be able to make decisions on their own.
By giving them the knowledge.
And the best leaders can actually sit back and not have so many problems to deal with because they have a team who is working diligently to make that ship cross the finish line and make a bonus this year.
I love it. Well, again, we added in some fearless fuel for your week ahead. For all you workers or leaders out there, I picked out two quotes that I want to share with you guys while you're out there. My first one is from a guy named Frank Sonnenberg. Great leaders hire outstanding people. They train them well. They inspire them, and then they get out of their way.
Yep.
Which is exactly, I feel, that's why I think you were one of the best bosses, Carrie, is because that's exactly what you did.
Thank you.
Another one, this is actually from the COO of Facebook. Okay.
Nice.
Her name is Sheryl Sandberg. And this is poignant, especially if you're a leader and you know at some point in time you're going to be exiting the company. But leadership is about making others better as a result of your presence and making sure the impact lasts after your absence.
That's so true. And this is something that my boss taught me is to find and hire your replacement.
Oh,
So most people, they want to keep all the wisdom to themselves
Yes.
and they don't want to give it up, but good leaders know that I'm going to keep growing. And if I keep growing, then I need to find and train my
A
replacement.
succession training, it's huge. And there's so many companies that don't do it.
Oh, geez, oh man. So I have a quote.
Okay.
This is from Jack Welch.
Okay.
Before you are a leader, success is all about growing yourself. When you become a leader, success is all about growing others.
Ooh, that is so true. That is very true. You're going to love this. It's good information. I'd love to hear your quotes or your tips for leaders. What works, or maybe a bad story of a bad leader, because we all have those. But I do know that when there is a great leader, your reputation, your impact on that person, it stays with you for decades. And I remember my first job was AutoZone before it was AutoShack, or it was AutoShack before it was AutoZone. But Ira Lee Schuster, he was my boss, and he always just, it was Whittaker, what it takes to do the job right. And that was when I was 16 years old, and I still remember that.
Wow.
And it's because he was a really great boss.
Yeah.
You know, a great leader, and I really learned a lot from him, even at the ripe old age of 16.
Yeah. Leadership isn't about perfection. It's about responsibility. You don't have to steer the ship alone. In fact, you can't. I mean, how are you going to get the ship if you're alone? But you do have to care where it's going, who's on it, and how you're all rowing. Culture starts with you. Leadership is legacy. And if you want a thriving business, start by becoming the kind of leader people want to follow.
I love it. You guys, it's been Fearless and Unfiltered. We've shared some stories with you. We'd love to hear your comments. So make sure you put them in there. We'll see you on the next episode. Smash that subscribe button, and you've been listening to Fearless and Unfiltered.
Thanks for hanging out with us on Fearless and Unfiltered. If you laughed, learned, or loved it, smash that subscribe button. Share this episode with a friend, and be sure to join us for the next real, raw, and fearless conversation.
Remember, life's too short to play small, so stay fearless, stay unfiltered, and keep showing up with your badass self.